Hey guys, how's it going? We're gonna wait for a few minutes until we start getting some people in, but I want to do a little bit of talking just because those of you who watch this after, when we're no longer live, don't want to sit here and stare at a blank screen. You can hear my voice is struggling a little bit, largely due to lack of sleep, so I'm not going to make this as long as I had initially anticipated. There were a couple things I wanted to talk about. Hey guys, how's it going? Good to see a couple of you in here. Oh man, climbing fast. There are a number of things I want to talk about with you, as well as feel free to bring in any questions you have as we're working our way through here. But yeah, not even close. Yeah, I didn't know it was a race, guys. But anyway, got a few knives out here. I've got a little different background. I have a mother-in-law who's really into sewing, so I had this little sewing sheet around. Figured it would make a decent backdrop for our discussion. Anyway, want to talk to you guys about a couple of things. The main subject that we're going to get to, but I want to give it a couple of minutes to let some people show up, is various budget knife options and the fact that, man, there's a bit of a battle going on right now, not only within, thanks, man. Glad you like the vids. Not only is there a bit of a battle going on right now within the budget market in general, and I've got to say that the standard providers are kind of being overshadowed, but I have to add that even among the, what would you say, even among the Chinese producers, okay, so this is the Civivi, what is it? Aquila, sorry, took me a second there. But even among the Chinese producers, there's some tight competition between some of the new offerings that are coming out. So I want to talk about that a little bit. I do want to talk about a couple of interesting knives I want to talk about one knife in particular that I'm actually pretty interested in from Jesse Jaros. And I want to comment a little bit on the recent Knife News article about the 5 knife companies, up and coming brands to watch in 2019. All right, so I'll get to those in just a second. Before we do, though, I do want to give just a very quick update for those of you who are in Canada or sometimes ship knives to Canada. It's always, I don't know, there are various thoughts out there and people get a little bit nervous. And some people have had worse experiences. I think some people are just unlucky. Honestly, though, it's actually not that bad shipping a knife into Canada. I would say, the vast majority are getting through without a problem. Certainly all of the knives that I have ordered are coming through without any difficulty, and I've got some really, really exciting ones on the way that, if you guys want to guess down in the comments or even here in the live stream, I'm not sure how comfortable I am telling everybody what's coming in, but you're welcome to take a guess at what I might have on the way, especially if you've seen my recent video, Most Wanted Knives. I talked about things that I'm clearly looking for, so that would probably give you some clues. But let me say this: if you're shipping, or if you're in Canada and you're wanting to buy a knife from a US retailer, there's a couple hints that I would use. The first one, and most important, is White Mountain Knives. Okay, that really, I shouldn't say anymore. White Mountain Knives is a great retailer. If you're buying from the US and they're shipping into Canada, they take some very determined steps to try and do all that they can to make sure that your package is going to get in. Okay, I know those of you who are in the US watching are going to be like, I could care less, Kevin. I'm not in Canada. This doesn't affect me at all. I get that, but there are enough Canadian viewers, and I get this question often enough that, hey man, what's going on? But I get this question often enough about knives shipping into Canada that I wanted to point out that, yeah, definitely White Mountain Knives offers you a big advantage, and they just happen to offer a 10% discount to my subscribers if you use Sharp Stuff in the as a discount code. So Sharp Stuff as a discount code will give you 10% off at White Mountain Knives, which is awesome. If you're, think about that. That covers your shipping. It's a pretty good deal. Anyway, So, wanted to say all of that to begin with. Now, let's go ahead and touch on the two big things that I wanted to talk about. The first one is a story from Knife News talking about the top 5 companies. And here's where I would love to have your feedback as we're talking about this, guys, because this is something that, you know, all of us, I think, are going to have some say in, and certainly will be, you know, mostly aware of. So, the 5 companies that Knife News says we should watch out for coming up here are going to be V-Knives. So V-Knives was the first one on the list, and that's Mike Vellenkamp. So V-Knives, right? Vellenkamp. He used to work for Spyderco, has quite a bit of experience, and has kind of gone out on his own to do his own thing. I've looked through their catalog, and I have to say, on first blush, I was not that impressed. Now, you're welcome, you know, okay, everyone, I know a lot of people have 10% off of White Mountain Knives, but my expectation is if you're watching this video, you're going to use my discount code at White Mountain Knives, okay? V-Knives, it's Mike Vellenkamp, just kind of starting off. He used to work for Spyderco. I think he's got a few knives in production right now. There's a long video from him, I believe from Blade Banter, where Blade Banter interviews him at Blade Show West. Kind of interesting, and you'll see a few different things there, but I don't know, guys. Am I crazy? Just, you know, feel free to comment. I really did not see anything that got me super excited when I looked at the various offerings that V-Knives has. I don't know, you know, it could be totally different, and, you know, we'll look forward to whatever comes from them next year. But to me, I just haven't been excited by any of their models yet. Now, on the other hand, I am pretty excited about some of the new stuff coming from BRS. So the BRS, they're the makers of the Replicant, the Balisong. That is pretty good. Sorry about the movement, guys. I don't have my usual setup, so I'm not able to be as steady as I have been in the past. Anyway, V-Knives. Next one is Makita. All right, so Makita is a collaborative effort between a couple of Italian knife makers. And listen, guys, I have to say that, honestly, I kind of feel like this is like a foregone conclusion. I've looked at, hold on, I got to rearrange stuff here. There we go. I've looked at a number of the knives from the Italian companies, Lion Steel, Viper Knives, Fox, and they look like they're all being made in the same place already. So for them to like now come out and say, okay, thank you, I'm kind of with you. Yeah, so to now come out and say, oh, we're going to work together, I'm like, you weren't working together already? Three Rivers Manufacturing, they're sort of a mid-tech company, and, you know, they can do some good work, okay, no question. And, you know, they're kind of taking a page from Millet Knives, where, you know, Millet Knives is doing some aftermarket stuff. Now, listen, I got to tell you guys, this is something that I think would be really, really cool. When it comes to a company that is making amazing stuff and definitely has the chops to make anything you could think of, the company that I would like to see doing OEM work is Grimsmo, right? Can you imagine, right? The only issue, I mean, Grimsmo makes fine knives. I'm not super excited about the two designs they have right now, but am I crazy, or can you imagine how cool it would be to have, you know, some of your favorite designers who have really cool ideas, have real knives that you absolutely love, only now they're going to be made by Grimsmo Knives with their level of perfection and their level of tolerances. See you later, buddy. Thanks for checking in. Now, that I think sounds really, really cool to me. So anyway, that's a total aside from our focus, but that's okay. Canal Street Cutlery Shop, that's one I'm not super stoked about. It's a company that closed and now is kind of reopening. And then finally, a company that I'd like for a long time. I get you, and I kind of agree. Imagine how expensive they'd be. Yes, they would be super expensive. I feel like Grimsmo is going to, they can't help themselves, guys. Here's my prediction about Grimsmo. That in the not too distant future, the next like 3 to 5 years, they're going to figure out that you can make a lot more money by selling a lot more knives. and they're going to change some things up to increase production capacity to a pretty high degree. Yeah, Carrie, they would definitely be worse than Riyadh, but I think they're going to come down. Anyway, I could be crazy. I think they're going to come down, and I think it's because John Grimsmo is going to be like, hey, if I can make this much money selling 200 knives a year, imagine what I could make selling 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000. I just suspect it's going to happen. I could be totally wrong, and in a few years, I could be eating my words. That's a great concept, but you would pay Grimsmo prices, or you wouldn't want to pay Grimsmo prices. And that's I think the big hiccup there is the price point. But if the price point starts to come down, they can do some excellent manufacturing work. Finally, Manly Knives. Manly has some cool stuff. The Manly Peak we've had on the channel, the Manly Companion, again. Yeah. Wait. Carrie, I think there's going to be a larger Skaha. There was a rumor going around a little while ago that North Arm Knives is thinking of doing a couple more models, and I bet you they'll do at least one that's a little larger. Anyway, maybe I'm completely, again, out to lunch on that, but I suspect we'll see a larger knife from North Arm Knives, and I really hope we do. And I think we'll see more models. Again, they do such a stupidly good job. It's so impressive what they're doing. And so, I'd love to see more models from them. I'd love to see them work with a designer. That's the one complaint I could maybe have about North Arm Knives is, I don't know that their designs are all that inspired. So that would be pretty cool to see. All right, let me shut my tablet off and move it out of the way, because that's all I wanted to say really about that story. There's a couple things I do want to bring up, though, and I'd love to get your guys' feeling on this down below. I don't have a great, let me move some of these out of the way. Okay, so we have a couple representations here that I think are good examples. So let me arrange this and make a pretty little tableau here for you. There we go. So we've got Kaiser, we've got we've got Riyadh, and a number of other Chinese companies making. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Carrie, for sure. They are great knives. Don't get me wrong. The Skaha was absolutely impressive and functional as could possibly be expected from any cutting tool. So we've got these guys. And right now we have what would you say? We have a budget line from Kaiser, the Tangram series, and the Vanguard series. So they really have kind of two budget lines. From WE Knives, we have, the typical WE Knife production stuff. We have this. So this is an example of a WE collaboration where WE is making this for somebody else. And honestly, guys, this is my favorite thing from WE. This stuff where, when they made the Smoke, they've made the Berg Blades, Iron Wolf, their OEM work. They made the Glimpse, of course. All of those are fantastic knives. They really, really are. So that's my favorite thing from WE. But they now, of course, have the Civivi line, and they're doing a stinking good job with the Civivi line. Finally, we have Riyadh, which doesn't have an offering in this area yet, but we've got all these companies, for sure, these guys, coming in with sort of a budget line. Now, we also have places like Real Steel companies like Real Steel and Rake Knives. Reich Knives now has a budget knife out there, just one budget model. We've got Artisan Cutlery. We have Tuya Knife. So there are a number of Bestech. Okay, and we could probably go on. But it's becoming a real battle. And I think maybe some of you are going to be mad at me for saying this, but if you're really into, budget utility knives, knives that don't break the bank, but work really, really well and have all the things you expect in terms of quality, you're probably into most of those companies that I've just mentioned. I know I am, because they deliver. They really do. And they deliver, as far as I'm concerned, a considerably better product than Kershaw, ZT, the budget Spydercos, not the higher end Spydercos, right? That's a different ball game, but certainly a lot of the budget Spydercos, I would take a lot of things from some of those other Chinese manufacturers over them. Certainly Buck, Benchmade, you know, Buck especially is not even in the ballpark at this point. They just can't seem to put together a decent knife at a decent price, and they're married to, I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many of these Chinese brands that I can't see them all sticking around for the long haul. I see them, kind of, I see a couple rising to the top and the others sort of fading into the background and maybe even going away completely. And so that's where I think the real battleground is. It's between these various Chinese budget makers. And right now, oh man, I don't know who to say is really winning. I feel like, Civivi is killing it right now. They've done a great job. They really, really have. The Tangram series, I'm biased because I'm not like I know most of you watching are in the States and you can go on Amazon and buy one super cheap, super easy. I can't do that right now. Although there's a recent development on that front, and that is Tangram now has a store on AliExpress. So you can buy you can go to AliExpress and buy the Tangram stuff. Yeah, I agree with you that most of the Chinese stuff is not great. However, the companies that I specifically mentioned are really, really nailing it in terms of quality, in terms of materials. And if you don't want to spend whatever, $80 or more, they're really, really good options. Okay. So anyway, my point here is I don't think that they can all stick around, right? I think some of them are going to win and some of them are going to lose. And I don't know exactly, my sense is, and I'd love to hear you guys comment on this either now in the live stream or later on when this video is up there posted. My sense is that WE is going to do pretty well, and they're the one I'm most excited about for sure. Wasn't too excited about those when I saw them at Blade Show West. Okay, I'm not sure which. I mean, or are you thinking of all those Chinese brands or a particular one? But anyway, let me say. So I think WE is going to do really, really well. There was a comment recently on Frankie and Bird's channel, Birdshot 4, where they said, WE has their plan to rule the world. That is one of the issues that I do have with the Chinese manufacturers. Now, this is not true of all the Chinese people, okay? But, this whole discussion of sort of globalism and kind of looking out for one another and having trade that's open and fair with one another, the Chinese do not have that philosophy. Okay, so it's really not from that perspective. WE knife. Yeah, okay, I'm with you on that, Zach. I don't love a lot of WE's in-house models, but I love the Apostle P gave a Reich. I can't believe it. I'm going to have to get in touch with him and ask if he's feeling okay. Maybe his channel has been hijacked by someone else, because that's hard to imagine. But I'm going to have to go and find it now. Thanks for sharing that. Riyadh is obviously the best out of China, but the prices for these guys are, right up there. They really are expensive. And I'm not, hey, they're making ridiculously good stuff. Okay. Let me add again, like I was saying, my favorite stuff from WE is not their own stuff. It's their partnerships. Okay. So, this is made by WE, but it's a Ferrum Forge knife. It's fantastic. And those are the things that I really, really tend to like from them more so than their in-house designs. So then Kaiser seems to be falling a little bit behind. They've really got to switch it up a little bit. They've got to drop this stupid looking pivot, and they've got to start making knives that are just a little more interesting. Yeah, and I totally get what you're saying. They are, I'm talking to Eldridge again. Riyadh is making some ridiculously good stuff. There's no question. I've handled quite a few. Does the CBSA inspect mass drop packages? None of mine have been inspected. That doesn't mean anything. All right. But what does mean something is that if CBSA, and I just had this reconfirmed for me recently, if CBSA stops your mass drop package, mass drop will reimburse you. So there's not much risk there. I think you're probably safe to go ahead and buy it. And honestly, everything that I've gotten from mass drop has come through the border with no issues at all. The only place I'm more confident in than mass drop is definitely going to be White Mountain Knives. And again, they go out of their way, really out of their way, to make sure that stuff comes in with no issues. So that's all I can say about that. Now, the last thing I want to say here, and this is something that I think, I mean, maybe it's a complete pipe dream. And you guys let me know. I would like to see, I don't want to see these Chinese companies come to just dominate the budget knife market, right? Am I crazy? Like, is that something that I'm somehow wrong for thinking? Or is anybody else with me when I say I really would like to see the Kershaws and the CRKTs and even, the budget Spydercos, take a different tack and come up with something that can really rival what's coming out of China. I wish that they would. I don't know. And honestly, I doubt they ever will because, and Hogue, exactly. Yeah, I agree. I don't know that they will because, once you start selling your junk in Walmart, it takes away the motivation to do really well and to stand out, right? Because you're going to sell a bunch of stuff out of that Walmart store and that other big box store, whether it be Dick's or I don't know, whatever big box store you go to, Bass Pro, Cabela's. I would really, really like to see these companies sort of step up their game and say, hey, we're going to look at what the Chinese manufacturers are doing and we're going to match it or even beat it. Maybe it'll never happen. As Eldritch says, it's happening now. And I really, really hope that that's the case. I really do, because I want to see those companies kind of step up their game. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Even if, they could have stuff made in Taiwan. Spyderco's Taichung factory is incredible, right? And Cold Steel, right? They don't really come. Cold Steel is great. I love so many Cold Steel models. Now, this year, I was super disappointed in Cold Steel. Like, there's just nothing of their new models that I have any interest in buying. And by the way, guys, that sucks because I don't, you guys wouldn't know this because you can't look at my analytics, but Cold Steel videos get views like nothing else. Okay, I don't know what it is, but if I just had a bunch of Cold Steels here and just talked about them for the next half hour, the video would get ridiculous amounts of views. And yeah, you're right. Most people are going to be happy with the $30 Walmart stuff. And as long as you can sell them. Yeah, and the Cold Steel, the Code 4 is amazing. They have a bunch of models that I feel that way about. I would recommend to anyone an American Lawman, a Broken Skull, a Code 4, even some of their more, obviously a Recon 1. You guys know how I love the throw some, that's right. Exactly. Throw some camo on it, stick it on a shelf in Walmart, and people just buy it. They don't care if it's the biggest piece of junk in the world. Lynn, yeah, that's right. Okay, so the Recon 1 is amazing. And that's one where I was going to next. I would recommend to anyone to buy a Recon 1. And if it's too big, then an American Lawman, right? If it just comes to a user knife that you can really trust and that can take a beating and hold an edge and just do everything you want from a knife, Cold Steel has some great, great options. They really do. And so I do think that there's a way forward for some of those, some of those companies that are making that, I don't know what you want to say, the CRKTs and Kershaws, where they're making a bunch of overseas stuff and it's largely junk. I wish that they would take a step back and just reassess. But as I say, when you're making money and you're making a lot of money, there's no motivation to step back and reassess. You've got things have got to go bad for you to start doing that. So that's a little disappointing. Now, I think I'm going to wrap it up, guys. My voice is starting to go. When I scheduled this morning, I was feeling good, but I want to bring in these knives. Okay, these are 3 knives that are absolute favorites of mine, and I want to talk about this. I've made this point recently in a video, but I'll tell you why they're favorites. Oh yeah, for sure. A Recon One can absolutely deal with the rigors of hunting, and there are very few folding knives, right? I would still say when I go hunting, I always take a fixed blade, right? Because when I'm gutting out that deer, I would prefer to have a fixed blade to do the job with. But a Recon One, no problem. I wouldn't even hesitate to do it. Now, let me come back to these knives, and I'll tell you what I like about all of these knives, okay? And why they stand out to me. This one is a little small for my size preferences. The camera's not going to focus if I hold stuff up, so I'm going to keep stuff down here on the table. Otherwise, it's going to get all blurry. So this is a little small for me. These 2 knives are right in my range of what I like to carry, what I like to use. And here's what I like about both of these knives, really all 3 of these, is they have walked a nearly perfect balance between being able to take just about anything you could think of, right? Any one of these knives, I'd feel comfortable whether it was, going out in the bush or, putting on a suit and going to church or a wedding, whatever I'm doing. If I have one of these in my pocket, I still have my bodega. Listen, I'm going to tell you a story about that bodega. Don't tell anyone else, okay? I lost a screw for it. Now, you guys are sworn to secrecy because I told Bag Knives that I wouldn't make a big issue out of it, but I lost a screw. I contacted Bag Knives. I said, could you send me a screw? They said, oh yeah, no problem. We can send you a screw. This was about 6 or 8 months ago. All right. They're like, yep, we can send you a screw. So I'm like, oh, thanks a lot. Here's my address. I'll look forward to it. Like 2 weeks later, nothing in the mail. 3 weeks later, nothing in the mail. So I send him a message. Hey guys, did you ever send that screw out? And I get a message. Oh man, it hasn't been sent out for whatever reason. Send another message. Okay, but it's going to be sent out right away. Yeah. It's definitely coming. Okay, great. I'm waiting. Nothing. This has gone on multiple messages, like 10 or 15 messages, and not like 10 or 15 messages where it's like, hey man, could you send me it's like, come on, I've been waiting. This is getting ridiculous. This is an expensive knife, and the customer service, I'm, fairly strongly worded messages. And then, whoever runs Bag Knives social media, I don't know if it's, I'm sure it's one of the, it's probably Mark Bag. Anyway, he'll say, yep, it's coming. And then it never comes. So it's so frustrating. You have no idea. And I'm really disappointed with the customer service from Reyacht right now. Apparently the screw is in the mail, and I'm really hoping that this time it actually is, because I am missing that screw big time. And I'm missing carrying that knife on a regular basis big time. Now, back to my discussion of these knives, okay? What I like about them is the balance and the all-around versatility of them. As I say, any one of these knives, I feel like if I'm wearing jeans, if I'm wearing 511s, if I'm wearing dress pants, whatever the case may be, if I'm preaching that day on a Sunday, or if I'm going on a hike in the woods with my kids, or if I'm going out hunting, boom, right? Yes, Carrie, that's the screw you noticed, and I did not. As soon as you sent me that message. So that should give you how long ago was it that you said you're missing a screw? That's how long basically that day I sent them a message and said, hey, I need a screw for this. So that's how long I've been waiting. Anyway, these knives I love because of their versatility. Now, I'm all for having special knives for special purposes. That's fine. But I really, really like when a knife like this just, I feel like whatever I'm doing, I could get up in the morning, put this in my pocket, and I'm good to go for whatever, right? Even up to skinning an animal. Now, I will say with bearings, it's going to be a serious cleanup after, because, you know, good luck skinning out an animal without getting anything in the pivot here. I'd try not to, I really would, but I don't think you'd get away with it. But outside of that, virtually anything else. Okay, so there you go, guys. My voice is starting to go. I'm getting the notification from my phone that I've only got 10% battery life left. So I'm going to wrap it up here with that brief discussion of the versatility that I love in these knives. Yeah, Eldridge, I get it. Exactly. And that's where I would say bearings are going to fall down for really, really hard use. Now, the option would be, and here's what I would do. Let's say I'm in the woods and this is the only knife I've got right here. And I end up doing something that gets it all. I would just take the knife down, clean everything out. And I just kind of know that going in. Nope, I've still got my buck. I haven't even done the review on that yet. So that review is coming up probably next week or the week after. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Let me bring in all the knives that I have with me here just for one last quick shot. And then that'll be our sort of parting shot here. Grab the Civivi. By the way, this review is coming up too. I am loving this. This thing is really, really nice. Really well done. Thanks, buddy. Cheers to you too. All right, guys. Happy Friday. We'll talk to you later.